Miss Stewart here. This week I thought that I would read a story from Scaredy the Scarecrow written by Michael Stewart, which is my dad. So let's start with the annual fair, which is one of my favourite stories from his book. There was a lovely smell of freshly baked bread and cakes coming from the kitchen. Mary had been up at the crack of dawn, baking and getting ready for the village fair. Her cakes and buns were famous for miles around, as her mother and grandmother taught her the good old-fashioned way of producing fine foods. "So what's so special today then, Mary?" Farmer Fields asked, as he surveyed the boxes of beautifully baked goods. "Oh, the usual," she said, "but this year I've baked a cherry and walnut roll. In fact, I've made 6 of them, just in case they go as well as I hope." "Well, do I get a taste first, before we take them all to the village hall?" "Don't be greedy. You've had your breakfast, and I've made sandwiches for lunch, so if there's any left over, I will save you some." Later that morning, Farmer Fields began cleaning up Stanley, who had been entered for the best bull in the show again this year. It was the 15th year of competing. He had never got a first, although he came second a couple of times. So Farmer Fields was always proud of his efforts to make the bull look smart. "There you go, old boy. That's the best you've looked in many a year." Stanley blew a raspberry, as Farmer Fields said that every year, and perhaps this year he did look better. He was led to the trailer, loaded up and ready to go to the fair. Scaredy and all the farm animals had gathered around, and they were shouting, "Good luck, Stanley," just as Farmer Fields and Mary pulled away. When they got to the fairground, Stanley was unloaded and led into a pen before a final brush down before the judging. Meanwhile, Mary had set out her stall of baked goods as usual, with the new cherry and walnut roll taking pride of place right in the middle of the stall. Down at the animal judging ring, it was almost time for Farmer Fields to bring Stanley into the ring. This might be his last chance to win that red rosette. "Are you ready for this, Stanley?" Farmer Fields asked. "Head up, my boy, we can do this." Stanley nodded, and his owner led him out into the ring. Well, Stanley put on such a show, with his head pointing towards the sky and strutting around the ring, with poor Farmer Fields hanging onto his reins, calling out, "Steady, boy, we don't want to overdo it." Stanley was determined to win this year, if only for the farm. Everyone would be so proud of him. After his performance ended, Farmer Fields led him back to his pen to await the judges' marks. Meanwhile, over in the food tent, Mary had been given 2 firsts and 3 seconds for her cakes and breads. She was so proud. "So, how did we do then?" Mary asked, just as Farmer Fields walked into the food tent. His broad smile gave him away. "I can hardly believe it, Mary," Farmer Fields said. "Stanley has done us proud. He's only gone and won." "That's both of us then," Mary said. "We've both worked very hard to win today." "We sure have, my love," he replied. "Listening to our parents has paid off. Now where's my piece of that walnut and cherry roll?" "Oh, darling, I've sold everything, but we made lots of money for charity." "Home for tea then," Farmer Fields said. Stanley was proud to wear his shiny red rosette and looked forward to telling everyone about his victory. The end.